Welcome to today's webinar on how to mitigate risk across your digital infrastructure during these unprecedented times. My name is Mike Schmidt. I'm the Senior Director of Marketing at Nlight Software. Today, you'll hear how in the absence of a pandemic disaster plan, you can continue to manage your data center and other parts of your digital infrastructure to reduce risk and continue to maintain control over compliance. So what do you do when your monitoring and management infrastructure takes a radical shift? How do you keep your data center protected from the effects of a pandemic? Well, you can't quarantine the entire compute infrastructure, and you have limited to no controls at co-location and edge sites. There are ways data center infrastructure management tools can help. Covid-19 is a new challenge to today's data center managers, IT, and facility teams. In our world, we live for planning and developing contingencies and disasters, but most of these are around physical disasters, fire, environmental, and power disruptions. Now we're faced with a workforce disruption and a demand to shift connectivity from centralized networks to external networks entirely out of our control. How do we control this risk? And what do we do to our data centers and the critical workloads running in them to keep the lights on, so to speak? Without trying to be self-serving, the bulk of the answer and disaster plan relies on an automated DSIM implementation. During these times, things like floor space planning, cable management, and physical audits might not be important, since there most likely isn't a person to do the activities associated with asset moves, compliance audits, or running cables. But DSIM delivers some very important help now, such as automation of workflows and the audit trails that track the completion of each task, alarm management, and corresponding workflows. The automation of asset tracking and network mapping. And Nlight DSIM also provides centralized management, giving you the ability to see all assets, power, cooling, and alarm statistics across all facilities from a central point, which now be from your command center at home. Nlight Command Center for Nlight Energy Optimizer, part of the DSIM suite, provides you the ability to power on and off racks and equipment at remote and dark sites. While centralized DSIM management is great, the data center depends on facilities and other parts of the IT organization to interconnect to their systems to reduce confusion and improve efficiency with severe limited workforce. Disaster planning is all about risk mitigation and fault planning. Nlight DSIM provides monitoring and management of power and cooling, mapping of the power chain, and non-disruptive fault simulations, so you can have contingency plans in place before something happens, planned or unplanned. So now let's look at each of these important in today's current environment. Not that they aren't important all of the time. Saying Nlight DSIM automates is like the title of War and Peace. You get the gist of what it's about, but there are a whole lot of details behind it. To focus on what is important now to keep the lights on and the organization running, I will briefly talk about a few of the automated tasks DSIM provides. Automated workflows take your predefined IT policies and structured workflows and span them across multiple organizations. Track and report on their progress, identify anomalies in task completion, and provide an audit trail of who, what, where, and when. Automated reports can be structured and delivered to meet an individual or a group's reporting needs. Further, our simple RESTful APIs and web interface allow anyone the ability to customize reports from an Nlight data without the need of a programmer. Automated alarm management ensures the right teams are made aware of important conditions and changes and can be integrated into the workflow engine to automatically kick off a mitigation work order. Automated discovery provides a scheduled crawl of the network to identify and confirm digital changes, including hardware, software, and IoT devices. Then sharing the asset database with CMDBs and other asset tracking systems to help management systems to improve efficiency across teams. An important byproduct of the discovery engine is the ability to map assets respective to workloads running on those assets and their network connections. This provides you with the ability to see how any planned or unplanned changes can affect application workloads and business operations. Okay, so maybe there are people where you want them to be, or maybe not. Maybe there are bodies, but they don't have the skill set that you need at the moment. Centralized management keeps you in control. Fortunately, Enlight has automated much of the work and provides for their implementation of IT operations best practices into workflow templates. However, each location will experience varying degrees of impact from the COVID-19 pandemic. And a centralized source, which is you, are critical in keeping things in order. Enlight gives you the ability to see what is happening from a single instance, what is going on in your data center, at your co-location vendors' facilities, edge compute centers, and will be providing important public cloud workload information as well. Now, what about a dark site, or a site that's gone dark, and you need to reset a switch, server, or a whole rack? How do you do that? Enlight Command Center provides the ability to remotely power cycle any network device from a central console without the need to send someone out. Well, we introduced the concept of automating the interconnection of building management systems, ITSM and DSIM. It should be pointed out that these connections centralize the data source for all of these systems as it relates to assets, providing each an independent system with all of the data relevant to it without unwanted information. All the automation in centralized management is no good if you can't address the core element of all technology, which is energy. Enlight provides the ability to centrally manage power and cooling and provide tools to help you further predict power fluctuation and disruptions. With preventive failure mapping of power and the understanding of interdependencies of application workloads, you can manage planned changes and have contingency plans in place for those disruptions that are unexpected. This is an infographic view of how Enlight Suite works together. Enlight Asset Optimizer is your centralized management console and aggregation tool of incoming and outgoing data. Asset Explorer discovers, understands, and inventories physical, virtual, software, and IoT assets connected to the network. Enlight Energy Optimizer provides the monitoring and management of power and cooling across the entire hybrid digital infrastructure. Altogether, there is an automated, centralized solution to manage all of your organization's digital assets and workloads. So now we've taken a look at how Enlight provides hybrid digital infrastructure management to your organization to reduce risk and keep things running. Enlight centralizes the collection, arbitration, and brokering of data to provide a single record of truth for the entire compute infrastructure. Automation ensures standards for consistent changes. DSIM manages and monitors all the changes occurring across the physical level of infrastructure and their virtual attributes. Enlight automatically discovers physical and virtual assets to see planned and unplanned adds, moves, or removals, and keeps assets across the organization databases current. Enlight Energy Optimizer monitors, manages, and reports on changes occurring in the power chain. And lastly, Enlight provides out-of-the-box connectors to integrate with ITSM and ITIL processes for audit and reporting across the entire organization. Okay, so we reviewed what Enlight DSIM can do. What do you need to do? First, complete your IT hardware inventory. You may have one, but it needs to be validated with Enlight's Asset Explorer for DSIM. Identify any unmanaged IT equipment and determine who owns it and what it's used for. Again, Asset Explorer will provide you with over 200 attributes of an asset to help you. It will also validate the firmware versions to reduce risk of vulnerabilities or incompatibilities that can cause unexpected failures. Take your change management procedures and build standardized workflow templates so each change is controlled and monitored against IT policies through the Enlight Workflow Manager. Asset integrity monitoring is a practice enabled by the Enlight DSIM suite to identify deltas in out-of-policy configurations and changes. So now is your wake-up call to build out that pandemic contingency plan. Coordinated resiliency response across facilities and IT organization, Enlight gives you the tools to talk amongst yourself. So leverage that. Thank you for your time today. Please check out our many resources online at www.enlight.com or reach out to us directly at info@enlight.com.